me repeat America's numbers. More than 370,000 cases, more than 11,000 deaths. The Wuhan virus has humbled the US. They can request, threaten, plead, but they will have to depend on others to see them through this. And that brings me to a question. When you hear the term strategic reserve, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Oil, perhaps, or missiles, nuclear warheads even. This is what countries stockpile. This is what they go after, not medicines. This outbreak has rendered those strategic reserves useless. Missiles and oil will not help. Medicines will. It is time to redefine strategic reserves. On WION Edit tonight, let me stick to America's example. A report from 2018 says that the US spends $81 billion every year to protect oil supplies around the world, just to protect $81 billion. America is the world's biggest military spender. Last year, the US government allocated more than $600 billion for defense. What about health? Earlier this year, the Trump administration shared this year's budget. The plan was to cut expenditure on health. Trump wanted to cut, listen to this, $884 billion in 10 years for health. That plan went for a toss because last month Donald Trump signed a $2 trillion coronavirus bill. Penny wise, pound foolish, as the British would say. America is being forced to spend more on healthcare. To be fair, every country is. Nobody was prepared for this pandemic. America is suffering especially because, like most things, it has outsourced its healthcare problems too. According to a report, 47% of drug supply in the US comes from India. 47%. Trump should know this, and once in a while, watch his words. America has something that is called the Strategic National Stockpile, a stock of medicines and medical supplies maintained for a crisis like this. The stockpile has been maintained for 22 years now. It has around $7 billion of supplies. But some of it has not been completely restocked. On the 10th of March, the Washington Post carried a piece. It said that the US has not restocked N95 masks. Millions from the national stockpile were used up in 2009. That was during the H1N1 outbreak. 11 years passed. The supplies were not replenished. Reports say officials were not given funds for this. Now, in recent days, a bitter public battle has played out between President Trump and 3M. It is a mask-making company, 3M. The US president publicly clashed with this company. Ultimately, both sides reached a deal. The point I'm making is very simple, and it's this. Had countries like America prioritized public health over potential wars, things may not have been so bad. They had strategic reserves, but either of the wrong kind or not fully stocked. And that brings us to India. And let me say this, by no stretch of the imagination can India boast of a solid public health care system. There are too many problems. But medicine supply is not one of them. Let's talk about this one in particular. India manufactures 70% of the world's supply of hydroxychloroquine, making it the biggest global supplier. The present situation solidifies India's position as the world's pharmacy. India ranks third globally in pharmaceutical production. This is in volume terms. Indian pharma industry supplies drugs to more than 200 countries. They control 50% of the global vaccine demand. The coronavirus crisis has disrupted China-based global supply chains. The world has no other option but to turn to India for help. This crisis is in fact disrupting a lot of things, including our concepts of what is a strategic reserve. Who would have thought that an anti-malarial drug, which has not even got scientific backing as a cure, would make superpowers scramble? American regimes fought wars for oil. They played geopolitical chess with defense supplies. And they've now been reduced to seeking tablets to save their population. Think about it. What is a strategic reserve? In times of a pandemic, it is medicine.